This is Will Nunziata, New York City-based director and creator of theater, television, and film. And today I am thrilled to be speaking with the acclaimed guitarist, well, really multi-instrumentalist, singer, songwriter, producer, educator. This man does it all, the one and only Mike Bennett. But before we get to our interview, here's a sneak peek at Mike, well, wearing all of the hats with his original tune, Love Only You.
The song, it whispers of a love without conditions, and on its wings I long to nestle safe within your arms. The law of our attraction puts to rest the warring factions of our heart. I love you, you know that I do. As every stream flows to the sea, surely this was meant to be. And like the changing of the seasons, we don't have to look for reasons. Like the aligning of the planets, we won't wait for second chances. No matter what I say or do, in the end there's only you.
Well, hello, Mike. How are you?
Hey, Will. I'm good, man. How are you?
Mike, doing so much better now that we're finally talking, my friend. You in
Awesome.
Brooklyn, where I grew up, but granted I was only there for 6 months, but I see it and visit it often. How is she doing these days?
Excellent. Yeah, we're holding our own. It's it's okay. Brooklyn's strong, baby.
You bet, baby. Well, listen, talk about strong and talk about talent, Mike. I love that I love that you unapologetically wear so many hats, but you do it with excellence. You are not only part of the group Mike Bennett in the Soul Glow Orchestra, which you obviously front and created, a beautiful collective celebrating, you know, world music, hip hop, classic rock, classic funk, soul. I just love how you don't pigeonhole yourself into any genre for that collective, and we'll get into that. But in the meantime, and by the way, my dog Bella wants to say hi.
Oh, hey, Bella. Oh, what a
But
cutie.
Mike, I also want to just deep dive first into you. Where were you born and when did you realize that music was going to play a major part of your life?
I was born and raised in New Haven, Connecticut. Um, Thinking about music, a couple different tiers. My parents were both orchestral musicians. My uncle is jazz drummer and does film orchestrations, and so my cousin is crazy amazing player, Anand Bennett. Check him out too, little shout out. But yeah, so the music was kind of inevitable, just in that it was always around and people were doing it at, you know, a moderate to quite high level around the house. And I started playing guitar around 5 years old without parental pressure. It was just sitting there, and I grabbed the big old thing and I was playing it and cutting my fingers and stuff. So my parents got me a little pint-sized one for my 6th birthday. So I got a fairly early start. You know, I played, and then like in high school, I started taking lessons from Tony Lombardozzi, jazz guitarist extraordinaire. Anyone from the New Haven jazz scene knows this guy. He's amazing. And so that was definitely like another notch in terms of seriousness. And, you know, just sort of focusing and learning more about music, honing craft and technique. And then in college, I did not know I was going to do music when I started college, and I ended up focusing on it towards the end. So that was kind of another layer. But even after that, you know, it's always been a part of my life, but I bounced around a little bit and tried a number of different things. And it was really a couple years after college when I was with my cousin in LA, and we were jamming all the time. And it was like, this is it. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to find a way to make this work. And
You have. And you have.
Going strong ever since. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Hopefully the best is yet to come, but you know, it's been a long and fruitful journey for sure.
Well, I mean, look, you've always created opportunities for yourself, whether it's the creation of the Soul Glow Orchestra. Talk to me a little bit about the impetus behind that collective.
Yeah. So I was on I don't know. I was in another group earlier in like the 2010s. It was like a duo. With my man Joe Black, and it was great. We had a good thing going, and it ended up turning into a trio. We got rapper Caesar Green on board, and we did some stuff. Things happen as things are wont to do in life, you know. But that was not really so active, and always had this desire for just kind of a bigger sound. If I listen to like the SNL band or James Brown's band or P-Funk or, you know, Paul Simon's Graceland, or there's something kind of magical about a horn section. You know, I'm sure you know, as in your production directing experience, small ensembles are great, but I kind of like the idea of something bigger. And something that really highlighted more than just my own voice. And then I was working with some buddies. We created some really stellar musicians and people. We made a little songwriting circle. And so we cranked out 5 songs a piece over the span of like 2 or 3 months, which The Love Only You was one of those. And so I had like an EP's worth of material. So then I was like, let's make this thing a reality. So it kind of started with the recording before anything else, you know, of these songs that we had written, and I just went to recruiting like some of the best people I could think of, and I felt like I was kind of punching above my weight. You know, I was asking some heavy hitters, and thankfully a lot of them were willing to get on board. So
Well,
we kind of,
I think the smartest artists in the world surround themselves with people that they think are smarter and better than them. And obviously you've done that since you got that guitar and took those lessons with that
Yeah.
world famous guitarist in New Haven. And on top of that too, it seems like a thread, Mike, throughout your whole career has been providing a safe space for not only you, but providing a safe space for other artists to be their best selves. You look at it through what you do and have done with Soul Glow Orchestra, but also what you do as an educator, something that obviously I'm sure ticked up a bunch during the pandemic. Talk to me a little bit about how and what you get from teaching, you know, the kids.
Yeah, not just kids. This is plenty of grown folks too.
I have
but
a weird saying when I say like the kids, like
Oh,
I refer to adults as well, but it's one of my Willisms that not even my husband still understands. Like,
I got you. Well, it's super fun, and you know, the whole like Phoenix. It's very interesting that teaching is like a way to make consistent, decent money in the arts and entertainment field. Because the whole purpose of the app, right, is to provide, or maybe not the whole purpose, but one of the main purposes is to provide a way of profit sharing and monetizing product.
correct.
Right,
Collective.
for artists.
Correct.
So that's tricky to do, clearly, in a conventional setting, and the playing field's always changing. So teaching one is great just because it has a little financial stability. It's not necessarily for everyone, but it is for me. You know, I really like, I don't know, there's always so much stuff to discover, you know?
Well, I think not only with the students, which, you know, I get as a director, I know I told you off camera, I performed professionally 25 years, but as a director, in many cases, I feel like it's somewhat of a teacher role. I get so much out of being able to see the little shimmers of success and aha moments within any of the artists that I work with, but also like we both know what it's like to stand down stage center. We know what it takes to get from the hang off stage with coffee that's, you know, stale, with, you know, dressing rooms that don't open, in like the schlep to get to center and perform. So, I mean, the fact that you are able to parlay all of that wealth of information craft and information to students, it must put your head on the pillow a little lighter at night.
Oh, it's it's super fun. And I have, if you can actually, on YouTube, there's a Soul Glow Students channel, and we could document the recitals of folks playing, and like the literal process of, you know, tuning up on the side of the stage, get a stage manager to help them, getting out center stage and doing their thing, and you know, growth. I remember my first date with my wife. She said, "Wow, growth is very important to you," and I maybe I sort of took it for granted, but yeah, it's amazing. And art is amazing, and music in particular, I just think is super special thing.
Absolutely.
For so many reasons definable and inexplicable. And to be able to share that with people and have people's consciousness about, you know, what's going on, what are you hearing, how does this work, and instilling confidence that they can actually do it, is pretty cool. It's
That's
pretty
amazing.
special.
Well, listen, before I ask my final question, I want to let everyone know, for more on the incredible Mike Bennett, you can read more about him right below this video. Mike, what do you have coming up for you, Mike Bennett? Anything in the works that the audience can, you know, keep an eye out for?
Something. There is. I'm working on producing a. It's like a cowboy, animated cowboy series.
I freaking love it.
Yeah, with my buddy Chris Saunders and Segnon, is another producer. So it's a suite of songs that are gonna get animated, and it's about this black cowboy and his misadventures. It sounds pretty cool. So we've been working on that for a while.
I love that.
About a year now. I think it's gonna be pretty awesome. What we've got sounds tight. I have no idea when it's gonna be done.
Are you working with an animator, like outside, like
Yeah.
somewhere else?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm in charge of music production, but there's a team that's working with animators and stuff.
Effing amazing. Congratulations.
So that's cool. That's been fun, and that'll be fun to wrap up. I want to revive Soul Glow. It feels, I just met my bass player. Akos is back from Serbia, and back in the city. Some of the other cats are around, and it's just feeling like, ooh, Omicron settling down, and city. It feels like on the cusp of getting back. But I kind of personally don't necessarily want to revisit all of the old stuff. So I would kind of like to redo what I did initially. I'm waiting for like a suite of like 4 or 5 bangers.
Yeah.
And then reassemble the team.
And what seems like what's so good about Soul Glow Orchestra is that you're very clear on the North Star and mission statement of the vibe that it should be creating every single time you perform live. So I'm not saying that, like, you know, not everyone matters in a group, but the fact is that it seems like you've created a tribe of excellent musicians that, God forbid, you know, one is still traveling, one doesn't want to leave the house, one is under the weather. It just seems like, in my gut, that now is the time for the vibe that Soul Glow creates. It needs to be seen and heard.
I think it's very timely. I think it's very important. Yeah. And
I think it's also a great example, by the way, and sorry to interrupt for the 50th time, is the fact that you all aren't pigeonholing yourself into one genre. It's one vibe that happens to touch on world music, hip hop, rap, classic rock, soul, you know, funk. I love that. That's exciting.
And when people with a different specialty enter the fold, everything changes. But it's not like everything is different, you know. It's the same, but the flavor have
some
new
color. It's a new texture. The
exactly
foundation is the same,
and it takes everything. You'll see in video, Daisy Press singing does this. It's like medieval chanting, and she's like a world expert on that. And when I got her to sing the song, I was like, why don't we're also, if you listen to the whole EP, we're trying to like set a tone, because there was some very dark stuff that happened beforehand, and it was sort of a pivotal transformation. But also, I just brought her on, and I'm like, you are better at doing this thing that you do than anyone in the city, probably, let alone in the world. Like, I want you to bring that to the table. And it creates something that is very, I remember when we were recording it, and the drummer, Mark, was like, what is that? What, like... And then Davi, the percussionist we got to come in initially, who Jacqueline ended up subbing for, and she became a big... Anyway, it's all these people, but like, we're all just like mesmerized by everybody as individual, and I'm just grateful, super grateful to know them and be able to work with them. But the fact that we can put it all in this pot and make something that is cool and fun to experience. It's really, we got to do some more live shows. They're really fun.
That's because of you, Mike. That's because of you, because you give all of these artists a permission to be the first-rate version of themselves. and not a second-rate version of someone else.
Mm.
I'm going to let you sit with that. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Bennett, everyone. Mike, I'm so excited that you're joining this new social media app, but more so, I'm excited that we're now connected. Thank you so much.
Me
for
too,
your time
Will.
today.
Yeah, thank you, man. It's a pleasure.